Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parco here with Brian Galkey, and we are ACES53. As we always say, what's ACES53, Brian? He doesn't know. ACES53 stands for, oh my God, I'm all choked up. It's so amazing. Attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, which is what you bring to the table in sales, or I actually say in anything you do. The Joker is that unique ability that you have or something that you've learned over time. For me, when I sold by the phone, it was my voice. I had no idea I had a deeper voice until I started wearing headphones and talking on radio. And so that was my Joker part. And what we normally do on Thursdays is we bring somebody in who has a special ability or something they or them can teach us. I want to be very, right up there with that. I don't want to say he, she, or whatever. That's not their pronouns. As you can tell, I'm very conservative where I'm at. Anyway, they come in and they explain that to you but a lot of people think we mean Joker's a wrong term. It's not a wrong term. It's that unique ability, that wild card that you can use. Are you anything else you want to add while I'm talking?
I was reaffirming you.
Oh, let me get affirmations. Let me get my mirror out. All right, who's our Joker today? Since you brought them, Brian.
Sure. So I met Elaina a year or two ago, and she is a brand strategist.
Still talking to you?
Oh yeah. Well, it's online. It's one of those things. It's easy.
Oh, you're a stalker.
Yes.
You found her through stalking.
I did. Actually, she was a referral. I went to someone that I admire and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a website. I'm looking for branding help." And he referred me to her. And I actually used her for a year or two. And then, with Steve has everybody go through his same person. But I recently had a friend that lives here in Dallas who she's wanting to get out of corporate America and go into coaching. And I thought of Elaina and I thought, you know what? She helped me before. And so let me just introduce you guys. And they seem to have similar personalities. And what I really love seeing behind the scenes is Elaina, when she's working with new clients, she gets their permission to show the entire process of creating a brand. And so she shares what they're working on, what first generations, next generation. So it's been really fun to sit on the sidelines and see her work on my friend's website, which I won't say her name until she's ready to go live with it. And then we'll have her on here as well. But to see the progression of the idea inside my friend's head of what she was looking for, and then what Elaina has been able to create and what they're moving forward with, it's just been really impressive. So
I'm sorry, is she still a friend? Because you said you had a friend.
Oh, no, I still have the friend because I just introduced him recently.
I'm just messing with you, Brian, because you still get nervous on these things. I don't know why. You're
no, I'm just
amazing
story.
But you're an amazing speaker. You're on stage all the time. And this is why we do this. And we tell everybody, start a podcast, start video, because you get so much better at it to a point where you don't, it's not but you have to remember it. You have to get to a point where you just don't care anymore. And I mean, not about the content you put out, about what people say to you. And that was like our thing on Tuesday, where engage the haters. If someone is hating you, love them, give them a lot of love, have them help you out, increase your algorithms and everything else. But enough about us talking.
I was going to say, let's bring her in.
Yes, sir. I'll do right there, sir. Sorry, sir. As you can tell, we have no fun at all.
Yes.
No, it's so much fun listening to you guys. Hello.
Hello, Elaina. Elaina Mitchell, who's in Florida. St. Petersburg?
St. Petersburg, Florida. Yep. Good old St. Pete.
How long you been there?
About 6 years now. It's been a while. Originally from Fort Lauderdale, so it's two different worlds in my opinion, but
Florida to Florida. Gotta be.
Yeah, no, St. Pete is like, I always say it's a mixture between New Orleans and Miami. If they had a baby, it's downtown St. Pete.
That's a fair assessment. I've spent some time there. That I can see that.
Yes. Without the mule smell though.
Okay, we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
All right, question for you. We know you're a branding expert. That's what I was told. How long you been in that area, in this expertise, or what you've been doing?
About 7 years now. I've been in graphic and web design for a little over a decade, and I focused on branding about 7 years ago.
What got you into this side of the business?
Branding specifically. I was taking on so many smaller projects for businesses, and I noticed they were piecing it together with different service providers. They would get the logo done from one person, the website done from another, and that would frustrate me as a designer to see the mismatched pieces. And so I started offering the full brand packages to help them really bring the full picture to life the way that I was envisioning it for them.
So what's a full brand when you're offering it to somebody?
So a full brand identity consists of so many more elements than most people realize. A lot of people, when they think of a brand, they think of a logo, a color palette, a website, some copy. But there's a lot more thought and detail that goes into a strategically designed brand identity. So it's everything from the logo design, understanding your target audience, doing the market research, creating a tone, a personality for your brand, and making sure that all of the visual elements really scream that personality for you and connect on an emotional level with your target audience. It really starts with understanding the target audience and imagining that you're them. Who are you trying to talk to? How are you going to attract them? What are they going through right now? And creating the right elements to speak to that.
Gotcha. Who's watching cartoons?
Cartoons. So I have my cat here and my son's in the other room. He's actually gaming right now. So I'm sorry if you hear him.
No, I'm here. I thought it was Brian's daughter was home.
Nope, she's still in. She'll be out on Monday. Speaking of which, so no shows next week. If we want to for the holiday. Okay, so
one day a week is not a holiday. Doesn't mean the whole week we're off.
Stretch it. Okay, so a lot of people, when they're getting started, they think, okay, like you said, I got to piece it together. Like when the person we're talking about, she's like, oh, I need a logo. And a lot of people will run off to Fiverr, or they know somebody who's a graphic artist. And what is the common mistake, besides the fact of not having a complete package? What are the biggest mistakes that you see that people make right out of the gate? And what are some ways that they can easily rectify those mistakes?
So that's a great question. A lot of times when somebody's creating a brand or envisioning what they want their brand to look like, they think of themselves, what they're attracted to, what they think is pretty, what they think is cute, instead of thinking of the audience that they're trying to connect to. So a lot of times clients come to me with an idea for a logo and it's something that they love, so they're hard set on it. And I have to try to merge that with the market research, the competitors that are out there, and making sure they stand out above those competitors while still bringing their vision to life. So the common error I see a lot of people make is letting their ego lead the way instead of letting the market research lead the way.
So they don't do any market research to find out their why, what the perfect customer is, any of that kind of stuff, correct?
Right, exactly. And the style of your logo is going to attract that target audience. So if you're trying to attract a more professional, modern audience, you want your logo to be super clean, professional, modern, clean lines, lots of negative space, so on and so forth. The details can be endless with all of that. But focusing on your audience instead of yourself.
So when somebody comes in, like a great book, for example, that is the book Yourself Solid. And that is, what is your why? Like Ed was talking about, what's your why? Who's your ideal client? How do you want to put up a red velvet rope, keep people out, instead of just saying, oh, anybody who has money can be my client? Mm-hmm. If somebody was wanting to start that search, besides that book, are there any other ones that you recommend? Or is it just more of an interview with you? You like to dive deep in and understand them? How does the process work?
So you're talking about me specifically working with a client. Yeah, yes. I love to ask what their current vision is and how much they're willing to work with somebody to guide them on that vision. That's usually the first thing we talk about is, what's your vision and how much guidance are you looking for? If they say, I just want this exactly how it is, I'm probably not the best person to work with you, because I'm going to try to guide you in a way that I feel your audience is going to best relate to.
I got you.
So how do you get that across to somebody who's stubborn about what they want?
I can usually sense it out of the gate. And so I just usually say, I can't work with you right now. My roster's full, or whatever the case might be. I always have a little spiel that I give them. But sometimes when I'm working with a client and we run into those errors, I start to figure out ways to express where I could have dropped the ball on understanding their vision. Because at the end of the day, it comes back to me as a designer of being able to pull their vision out of their head the right way, and trying to help them understand I'm doing it with strategy instead of with my ego or their ego, and trying to word that the right way, which is hard to do sometimes.
So I would just tell them, hey, I'll work with you, but you have to be open with what my changes need to be so that you can relate to your actual client instead of just relating to somebody like yourself.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the verbiage that I would use, for sure. Just to summarize.
No, I'm just saying it's just because we as a client will kind of have an idea, and we're somewhat open to a certain point of it, but then, but we still, it's just like when I deal with clients with what I do, telling their stories, I have to find out what's their why. And not just as someone in the past said, don't ask them one time, you got to ask them 3 times to figure out what they're really doing and why they're doing it. It just takes a lot to get to that person to find out. But if someone's super stubborn and don't want to make any changes, I get it. Why not to work with them?
Yeah.
But I still work with Brian.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's from the design process perspective, but then from understanding on a personal level why they're trying to build that brand, that's also really important for me, because I have a lot of people that have tried to work with me in the past that are building personal brands for, again, ego. And that's not something I align with. They don't really have a bigger mission to serve. And so I wouldn't want to take on that type of client.
Gotcha. Now, an interesting question. You work with some fairly big name people, and then you work with like the person I referred you to who's getting started.
Yes.
So how do you transverse between those 2 different types? Because I don't know if you want to say some people who you've helped or not, but let's just say people with a lot of followers to people who are just starting from scratch. How do you navigate between those 2 different types of personalities and businesses?
It's really interesting because usually the person that's more experienced or has the more followers or built their brand to a certain level, they usually want the guidance from a professional. They don't want to tell you what to do. They usually say, like the person I'm sure you're thinking of usually says, Elaina, just create what you want. I trust you. And I'm always like, yay. So he's my favorite type of client. And I think he's gone through enough experience to understand there are professionals for a reason in certain areas for a reason.
Right.
So.
Because you hire people to do stuff that you can't do. And if you understand that, you'll take their advice and move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. But still, me as a designer, I have to take the feedback from the client and still make it right, make it their vision, even though I'm guiding them, so there's a good balance there. Not to say that I know it all, but the client trusting me enough to guide them. And then we come to a common ground,
Well, and I've seen some of your work, and so people really should follow you on Instagram, I would say, because in your stories, you post as you're walking people through it. So the mutual friend that we have that you're helping her out, I saw that you posted the 5 different versions of logos, and then you were explaining why the color codes went with it and why the designs of what the difference between the designs were. So it's not like you just take input and go, okay, here's your finished product. That's it. You're giving them, now you're probably guiding them as to which one you will hope they pick, but you're giving people options instead of just saying, this is what you're stuck with.
Right. Giving the options and explaining the why behind those options, the design psychology behind those options, I feel should always be at the forefront of any decision when it comes to building a brand, the psychology, the strategy. And that gets overlooked a lot because we focus on something that looks pretty instead of understanding why do we think that even looks pretty? What's happening with our eyes and our mind to read that as that's a pretty design. You know what I mean?
Yes. I was laughing because Ed and I, we started off like when we did this a year ago, we were heavily into AI was just coming out, Chat GPT and things. And so now I can't tell you how many emails I get on, write and create your whole website in 5 minutes using AI. Now, a lot of people go, oh my God, well, there's no longer a need for graphic artists or, brand strategists or anything else. For people who think that that is a way to go, what would be your comment as to why to stick to you need someone who is an expert in these areas to help you?
I think the human aspect 100% can never be duplicated. I use AI in a lot of phases of my development with brands, but it aids me. It doesn't do the work for me. It helps me do the work a little bit quicker. And then you can optimize the AI to have more of a human approach. But at the end of the day, the computer is not going to know the personality of the person trying to bring the vision to life. And so it's my job as a brand strategist to talk with them, learn about their story, understand their personality and the target audience to really bring that to life the right way. I don't think that can be duplicated by a computer, and I don't think it ever will. There's a human aspect for a reason.
Yeah, I think AI is just going to take over positions that people don't want to do.
Yes. It just saves time.
I use it drastically, and we talked about this before. Everybody was like, "It's going to get rid of position." No, the person using AI is going to take your job.
The person that understands how to use it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally
you mentioned when we were chatting before this that there are just some suggestions you have for anybody that's out there to take a look at their branding, maybe look at what do they have, what should they change, what can they immediately impact. What were some of those tips that you wanted to help share?
Yeah, I think it's just really defining your personality. So there's two different brands. You can create a business-based brand or a personal brand. So when you're creating a personal brand, it's really understanding your personality and the why behind who you are today, everything you've been through that made you who you are, and how can you share that to be a light for others. So I think the first step for somebody to optimize their brand is to get really clear on who you are, what you stand for, and how you can help. But underneath all of that should be understanding the why. Why are you the way that you are? Why do you help in the ways that you do? And why did you go through the things you went through? And then figuring out a way to communicate that to an audience. So that would be the first step. And then if you have elements for your brand already, like a logo design and a website, I would say just clean it up, streamline it, take away some of the heavy lines, or clean up the design a little bit, make it more modern, brighten your color palette, clean up your website to have less copy, more negative space. Little details like that really elevate your brand and help get your message across clearly.
Right, what's the matter? You were thinking there. I was on her Instagram site. So.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, I think when everybody gets started, and I'll speak from experience, the first thing I did is, I went to GoDaddy and I took some stock photo images, and I put it together, and then of course I got told
you had no money, but that's okay. And you have to understand, most people don't realize there's two places. There's the company, and then there's the individual. And you talked about a second ago. I had many advertising people who didn't understand why I had two brands, one for the company and one for me. I promote myself more than I promote my company. And they go, why? I go, because that company could go bankrupt. I'll still be here, but that company will be gone, because you never know what's going to happen, or you sell it, because you don't want to have you as the brand and try to sell yourself, because then people don't want to buy you as the brand.
So true. Very smart statement. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I do the same thing.
I got smart statement. You didn't get that today. See, you just got, that was a good question.
We're not done yet.
Yeah, no, I feel like this whole conversation is so smart, and strategic is my favorite word to use. But no, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And you really have to do this. And I know you got something to say, Brian, but give me a second. It's really important to focus really on your brand first. If you look at Brian as an example, he focused on subtle skills way before he's focused on Brian, and he needs to switch that as much as possible to Brian, because people are going to buy Brian, not the subtle skills. They didn't have no other way to reach him, and it's just like Elon Musk. No, Tesla, what advertising account? They don't have to. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's the era we're in now, is understanding the importance of personal branding. And a lot of people that led the way have shown this light on this aspect of the importance of personal branding, like Elon Musk, like Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian. Those are the ones that come to my mind because I'm a female, but I'm sure you guys can think of many personal brands that lead the way for you. Who would be some of your tops when you think of personal branding?
Oh, well, I mean, so the guy that first started teaching me about it all was Brad. So when, like, what is Lightspeed? Oh, well, Lightspeed's a company, but I know it through Brad. You look at his Instagram following, and people don't even know what Lightspeed is. They're like, oh, you mean Brad's company?
Right.
That was the first one. That's what I was going to bring up is there's a guy that was in Brad's mastermind with me. So Bradley, is who I'm talking about. And there was a guy named Ty. And so Ty was always posting pictures of the dealerships he was working at. And instead, Brad told him, no, you need to be Ty, the car guy. And so what is he? He's Ty, the car guy. Now he can jump between dealerships and it doesn't matter. People will go to where Ty is versus the dealership themselves. And, you look at, and I were talking about this on a previous episode, when you used to say entrepreneur, it used to mean you couldn't get a job. And now when people do it, they are working on their personal brand and everything else. And even if you have a business account, you have to put real life pictures in you, because if you only put business shit the entire time, people get bored and move on.
That's all I post is business shit.
Really? Sorry that my cat's here.
Okay. I think they have something to say.
I was going to say that. I think they called you out, Ed. That's what it sounded like.
She's actually in active labor. I feel so bad that this is right now. She's having kittens, and so
Yeah.
the cry noise is her letting me know she's uncomfortable. So I apologize. She's like coming up to me to let me know I'm really uncomfortable right now.
This might be the most interesting way somebody's ever tried to get off of a podcast. I'm sorry, my cat is in active labor. I'm just going to have to.
So it's been actually 3 days of this. It's so interesting. I won't go into the story, but it's 3 days of active labor. So I'm used to it at this point, and now I just got to let her do her thing.
Hey, pattern interrupts are always good.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Just get her an epidural.
I don't think you can do that for cats. I wish you could. I feel bad for her.
There's some catnip.
That's a good idea. I should get her catnip. That's a really good one.
Okay, so a good point is your company is named after you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you going to sell it?
I'm not. So that's a good point. I'll let you continue though, Brian.
No, I want to know how you're going to, because and please, I know Brian's got more to say, but for most people, if you say you're not, you can never, the whole thing about starting a company is knowing how to exit it down the road.
Yes, I agree 100%. So that's why I have 2 separate companies. And this was important for me to separate the 2. I have a social media marketing company called St. Pete Social. We just rebranded to Social in Your City so that we can branch out from St. Pete. And I say all that to say that's the business I'm building to sell. I have an exit strategy there. With the E. Mitchell Studio, I'm building E. Mitchell as a designer more than anything else. And then I'm able to add other taglines at the end of E. Mitchell. So I have E. Mitchell Builds, E. Mitchell Paints, E. Mitchell Studio, so on and so forth. So because I do a lot of creative things outside of just the branding. So yeah, just building my name. But then I always think, because I've never been married yet, and I think, well, what if I get married one day and I change my last name? How does that work into my branding, that I've been creating all these years? But I guess that's a bridge I have to cross when I get there.
I guess you'll just be taking your last name.
Or I'll keep it or hyphenate. I don't know yet. Who knows?
Go ahead, Brian. Go with your question. We're getting off here.
I don't even remember what it was now. So
it must have been really important then.
Yeah, no, I think I was talking about, I've only mainly seen her post as herself, but you actually beat me to the punch of that. You also have the other company. It did bring to mind, I need to introduce you to a chiropractor who's in your area as well, because they put together a social thing for people who serve the same customers, but don't compete against each other. And it's a good networking group to be a part of because they have get-togethers and they do things. So I'll have to introduce you to the Social Oak guys after this as well.
So let's find out if they're a perfect fit. Who is your perfect client?
So my perfect client is anybody looking to change the world, whether it be with a business or their personal brand, somebody that's willing to shake up what we know as the norm to speak their voice and show the world the new ways of thinking, the new ways of doing, the new ways of helping. And that's my ideal client.
Okay. So the reason I said that is because this person, Brian, what was her ideal client?
Well, he's a chiropractor.
Remember the one we had on, the female that had the get-togethers? I thought you were talking about her.
Oh, no. So Rhonda, it's someone that Rhonda actually, so Rhonda is who we had on. She's a chiropractor in Michigan, she's the one who created Social Oak. But what they've done is they've recreated it across the U.S. and one of the groups is in Tampa. And they are all part of a group of chiropractors who said, okay, we're service professionals, but who are people that we believe we have similar customer base, but we don't compete against each other. Let's have social gatherings to invite people to and get to know each other and just kind of cross-pollinate services for each other. So that's what I was thinking of.
Right.
But
her perfect client was a 33-year-old female mom who drove a Tahoe, who did, right. I mean, she had it narrowed down to what her perfect client was. And then everybody else that came to her parties had the same client. Right. Their perfect client.
Oh, yes. I love that. That's
how niche down she was on. And that's all I'm trying to get at. And I found from people who are talking, and I brought it up a couple of weeks ago, the best way to do is niche it down. And then where 2 niches intersect is the perfect client to have.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's actually in the book we talked about, Book Yourself Solid. So it's called the Gang of 5.
Niching down to 2 niches intersect. That's in there.
It's in there to get your group of 5 that intersect. Yeah. So
no, I'm just trying to understand. So.
Yeah. So it's called the group of 5. And that is, what are 5 other people that you niche down and find that you serve the same clients, that you can bring your clients that you have, they bring their clients that they have, and there's no competition, but you know that you can help each other in business at the same time.
But that's not what I was saying. I was saying you niche down your niche to another niche that intersects. Like mine would be veteran business owners.
Mhm.
There's two niches that intersect, and that would be a perfect client. And they are my perfect client. I just have hardly any of them in my area.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, mine would be thought leaders, motivational speakers, authors, things along those lines. And it used to be hospitality. It used to be restaurants and bars was my main niche market. And after COVID, I had to branch out because most of my clients had to shut their doors. And that's when I started working with people like Bradley and more personal brands and stuff like that.
I think your cat's saying you're full of it. I'm sorry.
She's like over it. I don't know. I feel so bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. So on a call right before this one I was on was imposter syndrome. And there's a lot of people when they get started, the idea of plastering their own face out there, and I can speak from experience, that'll tell you, that's a scary thing. How do you handle getting people comfortable to go, hey, look, we're going to put your face on this, not stock photos, but we want pictures of you to put out there. Yes, other people will see it, but it's a part and it'll help you, in the long run. How do you talk to people about that?
Yeah, I realized that you can't push anybody into certain areas that they're not comfortable going. And so if somebody comes to me that wants to build a personal brand and they're not comfortable being on camera or showing their face, I say, are you sure you're ready for this next step then? Because you are your brand and you're going to have to get comfortable with that. But I don't want to push you in that direction because then it's just going to be a fail on my end and your end. So just making sure that they're clear about what it takes to build that personal brand. And it is being comfortable with yourself. As far as imposter syndrome, I don't think that ever goes away. And I think that's just because we're human beings struggling daily to understand self. And that affects our efforts and pursuits in business sometimes. But that doesn't disqualify us from continuing to pursue in business or even in personal life. So, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to be okay. Everybody knows how fat or skinny or ugly or all. Everybody knows how you look. Everybody knows how you sound.
Right.
It's you that has to get over it.
It's you that has to get over it, and it's you that has to also understand you're so much more than the shell that you are. And we're all still understanding that to different degrees. We have a voice inside and experiences we've gone through, and don't let the fear of your shell stop you from sharing that with other people.
How do you feel now, Brian?
Good. It was a struggle. Like when we first started, that was the weird part is we all did, well, depending on how you were raised, we're told like, oh, don't put yourself out there, just work hard, you'll get recognized. Mm-hmm. And the idea, if you go back from like a human species thing, the person that stood out was the one who got kicked out. Right. So there is that wanting to belong to the tribe, but that's not the modern day and age. You have to stand out and you have to tout your own abilities, capabilities, whatever you want to say, because that's why people come to you now. When I graduated college, it was, oh, you want to go work for the top firm. Now people are like, you can work wherever you want, but you have to keep building you, like you were talking about earlier, Ed. And that's the main difference. Like we used to make fun of people if they went to work for McDonald's and somebody went to work for one of the top 4 consulting firms. But then you look, the people at the consulting firms burned out and somebody now may own a McDonald's. And it's interesting just how life has changed in a lot of ways.
That is really interesting.
Speaking of life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would have locked her in the room, but she would have scratched the door crying even louder. She just wants to be heard and seen,
Like we all do.
Yeah. Pre-COVID, everybody's like, oh my gosh, there's somebody else on the call. After that, I'm like, people are used to animals, kids, you name it. So.
It makes it more real. Yeah, we're all human beings at the end of the day, dealing with different life situations, like a cat in labor that I can't control. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you can call this episode the Cat Lady if you want. I give you full permission.
So the full term for that has to be Crazy Cat Lady. So I don't know if you want us to go with that one, but
I love wearing the label of crazy. I love crazy people. I think they're my people. So we can run with that.
Go ahead, Ed. What? You look like you're going to say something.
Just no.
Did you make a new friend because you're crazy? Is that?
No, I'm not crazy. You're all crazy.
Yeah.
I sure am.
Yeah. I mean, the most important thing is someone starting out and even if you're been doing it a while, have somebody look at what you have because things have changed so drastically compared to where we're at. I mean, my website's changed over the past 3 years multiple times. Prior to me having the website, again, I had my own personal brand, but I didn't have it out there like I have it out there now. And I just think there's so many more avenues to get out who you are. On social media, you have, there's just so much more now than we ever had. And I think a lot of people also get worried about, I got to be everywhere. Just pick a few and do it well.
And not so much do it well. I think figuring out what works for you is key, and you don't figure out what works for you until you start consistently producing and being okay with showing up. And through the process of that, you realize, oh, this is my personality and this is the best way that I can communicate it. And yeah, you won't figure it out till you try. That's for sure.
You got to do it a lot.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out even my voice on social media, and the algorithms change all the time. My strategies change all the time, and that's okay. We're human beings building our personal brand, so there's so much more room to fluctuate, and we have to understand that and accept it.
Well, you should talk to Brian, because he just went viral on Instagram, 1.2 plus
1.5 million as of this morning on that one video.
Yeah. And prior to that, I was above him because I was at 750,000 on TikTok and on one of mine. And we figured out kind of how to go viral. It's now we got to recreate it again and again and again. And so, and we've been around people who sell branding and they've never went viral.
Yes,
and
I don't think I have.
No, I'm not you. It wasn't on you. Yeah.
Well, I haven't though. It's so interesting.
But you don't. Here's the thing: is you don't do videos to go viral. You do videos for that one person you're trying to help.
That's exactly
that one person.
Here's the thing about virality. Is that a word?
Virality. Yeah.
You don't always know if they're going to remember you for the right reasons. They're going to remember the video. They might remember the face, but at the end of the day, do they know who you are and how you can help? Probably not with a viral video. And that's okay though. Now you're able to grow your audience from that virality, if that's the right word that I keep using, and you can then continue to tell your authentic story. So there's ways to use it.
That's exactly 30,000 new subscribers yesterday. How many or the other day? How many are you now?
Let me see. I think so. I was at 26,000 like a week ago, and as of right now, 64,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I only doubled mine. I didn't go that as well on TikTok. So
yeah.
But here's what we've learned, and you can take it from us: is engage your haters.
Oh yes.
You have to engage them. You cannot hide from them. You cannot, because before people have posted, what should I do? And I'd say hide and just move on. Now it's not. No, you talk to them, and then they're going to do more engagement. More people come to help you, and it's just goes viral. And then you get more people to sign up to be part of you. Because Brian, when he's growing, all these people can use his product. What I do, not everybody can use my product.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and again, it leads back to detaching the fear, because if you do go viral and you're scared of those haters, you're not going to use it to your advantage. So you have to remove the fear of those haters. That's really important.
It's a lose-lose with the hater situation. So I label it haters or helpers, because if you don't respond, then somebody's out there saying, look, they can't defend themselves. And then if you do respond, it's, oh, so you got nothing better to do than to answer me? I'm like, well, which one do you want it, dude? Either way, it doesn't matter. But to Ed's point, so we had somebody who's very well into like Google advertising and anything else. They said, if somebody likes your stuff, imagine it's 1 point. If they share it, it's 2 points. If they comment, it's 3 points. If you respond back to the comment, it's like 5 points. So by you sitting there battling back and forth with the hater, it just continues to push your video or your post to more eyes. And then all of a sudden what happens is people come on and they want to read through all the comments, and then people spend more time on your post, and it's a win-win all the way around.
And when we mean engage, we don't mean call them out and call them names. Like I had one that said, this guy is an idiot. He has no idea what he's talking about. And I just said, really? That's all I said. And it kept going, where Brian probably said some other things like, but people are rude, but that's okay. That, it's not going to change who you are.
After the fourth or fifth one, here's what I will call out. I'll go, funny. It's always the people whose numbers end in or whose name ends in a number. They're the ones who want to talk trash, or their account set to private, or you can't tag them back in a response. So I love going back to those and going, wow, you're such a big person. You're talking on this. Why don't you let me tag you back? Do you not want to hear the response?
No, they don't.
They don't. And then they get agitated and they come back again. I'll be like, well, that's a logical argument, and just keep it going. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
And we just found that out, that's how mine went as far as it did. And it was not an amazing thing, but it was just went viral because what it was. And I've had other people pick it up, stitch it and stuff. And there are 1 million+ views because of this, that kind of stuff. And I had no idea what all those things were before until someone did it. So.
It's so exciting though, right? It's like hitting the lottery to see those notifications come in and see it grow and grow. It's so exhilarating. And then I feel like it starts to let you down because then it's like, how do I get it again? I think the most I've gotten on a video on Instagram was like 350K. And that was really exciting for me. And then all of the engagement tanked after that. And I'm like, dang it, I didn't capitalize the right way on that engagement, So yeah, there's ways to learn from it, but it's hit or miss. It's like a lottery, in my opinion. I don't think it has to do with quality content, only because I know a lot of people creating amazing content and they don't get as many views as they should, in my opinion. So
it's the tag.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
It's the tag, it's the hook. Yeah, and now people are so into seeing just that so off the wall stuff that it's like we have to do flips and jump through fire hoops to be.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, you don't?
No, you don't. No, you don't. That's the people that I won't even watch that stuff. True content. Mine was so on TikTok. If you put hack, you're gonna go viral. Just how it works. I put hack in the comment. That's how I went viral. I didn't do it. I used Opus Pro, and they came up with the tag and everything else, and I uploaded it, and it was my first viral video because of what they came up with. They being the algorithm and the AI.
I love that. So wait, tell me the software you used.
Try opuspro.com.
Pro.com.
Or get opusclips.com.
Opus Clips. So
I'll DM it to you later on.
Yeah, we'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah.
We should call it today. It's today.
Sure, we are at 38 minutes, 37 minutes. Yeah.
I don't know. It looks 36:50 to me, but I'm a numbers guy.
Time with you seems to drag on, so it seemed like it was longer.
I'm hearing the screeching from your voice.
Here comes the cat to close us out. I'm sorry.
That's right.
She's like, I gotta go. I need her attention.
Oh man.
Let us out. You can lead us out there, Brian.
Elaina, thank you for joining us today. Help talk about what being a brand strategist is. How can everybody find you?
Thank you for having me. Everybody can find me on my website, elainamitchell.com, or on Instagram at Elaina, ELAINA.Mitchell. And I look forward to having you on my journey.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed. Thank you, everyone. So for watching, what can you do? Always subscribe, follow us here. That can always help us out. Remember, on Tuesdays, it's Ed and I yelling at each other the whole time. And then on Thursdays, we bring in an expert to talk about a special skill or talent, what we call the Joker. That's something that made them successful, something they can share with you. So everybody, thank you for joining us today.